Doing a video from my car today, and I am all gray. So how the mainstream thinks that who we worship are demons is offensive. So how did we get there today to think that? So I watched an episode of TV, which will be featured in a video coming up in February. You won't know because I won't mention this part, but on that episode, a god, said that just because the Roman and Greek Empire fell, do you think the gods just went poof? So it had me thinking about how nowadays those gods are considered demons. And how did we get there? So how did we get there is that a spirituality took hold of a quote-unquote nation of people. And the spirituality began to proselytize. And because they are the way, they began to spread it to others, and not always peacefully. And so they went into neighboring countries, villages, territories, foreign people, and began to conquer. And as they did, they began to take over that town, village, country, what have you. And those people were forced, for the most part, to indoctrinate this new spirituality, new religion. For consequence, if you didn't, more than likely, you'd be put to death. Now, this one is not just going after one religion. This is many religions that did this in spiritual fasts. So you take over a town, and then you have the villagers, the citizens of that town, city, whatever, convert to your religion by way of violence a lot of the times. And so their children are. And so the next generation, they are forced to do this willingly, possibly by the second generation, because that's what they grew up in. But they still have their parents that did it the old ways or worship the old gods. And then the next generation, their grandparents worship the old gods but were converted. And then the following generation, that generation that worshiped the old gods slowly disappears, and you're in a society under the new rule where this religion that was foreign to your great-great-grandparents is now the main state religion. And so you eventually go through the generations, and the ones that were originally on another path spiritually disappear entirely. You don't even know who they are anymore. You just know they were your ancestors, and that those ancestors worship the demons because your ancestors that converted to what you believe became true believers, and they have been redeemed and corrected from the old ways the ancestors before them were following. And that's how we get to where we are today, is that generations pass and we're told that this is the way it is, and everyone else does it, and so that is the right way without even trying to question or think on anything. Because why question or think anything? Because we are right, and those were demons. And that's how gods become demons in modern time, in mainstream spiritual paths and religions. And so the story continues today. Whenever you try to explain a different path, it's nothing but demonic. And that does get frustrating when that does happen. And I've been there, and we are still there in the 21st century. Luckily, though, there are people who are finding this path. And the reason being is that it's not demonic. The people have changed, but the gods have not. The gods have gone nowhere, as that episode has said. And they are not evil or demonic. And the reason why centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries of people worship these gods before this other religion came in and converted them is because there was something of substance and something real there. And mainstream And majority of people may have forgotten the gods, but the gods don't disappear just because people forget them or call them evil or demonic, because the gods don't care. The gods don't care or need worship. We have to go back to Seleucus, who says that the gods are in need of nothing, that they are the universe, they are in our world, and they control and they are in control of everything. And they keep on keeping on. The sun still shines without acknowledgement, and the trees still grow. They don't care. And so that's why there is no big resurgence of seeing people struck down and the gods having to prove themselves that they are still here and they exist, because they don't need worship and they don't care. And they do care about people, though, so they do make sure we're here and alive and breathing, and they do interact with us. They care on that level, but when it comes to requiring and needing worship, like a lot of, again, spiritual paths in the mainstream, their gods want worship and everything. These gods are, our gods are not demanding of worship. The reason for worship in our belief is for our benefit, to call their presence and to align with them. Even though they are always around us, worshiping them gets us in their presence to physically feel them and spiritually feel them, just to interact with them and spend some time with them. Again, it's for our benefit, not theirs. And so there is spiritual meaning behind our spiritual path. There is validation, and there is nothing demonic, and the world doesn't turn upside down just because you follow something outside the mainstream, which is what mainstream spirituality tries to tell everybody, is that they're right and demonic path leads to ruin. And I can tell you that I haven't become a drug addict or anything like that since I left a mainstream religion and started Hellenic polytheism, and there's peace, and I am very happy. And there, as I say all the time, a quote I like to say, that there's a hole in your soul, and there is no hole in the soul that I'm trying to fill. And is when you find a true spiritual path that fits you, then you find peace and happiness. Just something to think about. I've been thinking about for a while. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you. Bye.